Alright, so now we're going to take a look at these motor blocks, and I'm going to separate the motor block from the side frame because I have to paint the side frames. And then I have to, I don't have to, but I'm going to take a look at the gears and the wheels and all that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to flip these over. I'm going to very carefully spread one end. And I've never had one break on me, but watch it happen today. So I'm going to rotate this around, separate it, and I like to grab top and bottom. So we'll pull that, and then untangle my wires, and then I'm just going to unplug these two from here. And so now my side frame is ready. I'll cover this up with tape and tuck this in so this is protected, and then we'll prime and paint the side frames, and I'll have to do that again. I'm gonna leave these wires on. Now to access the gears, you're gonna need to rotate it over, and you're gonna need good screwdriver. I don't recommend using an electric screwdriver or drill for any of these screws, taking them out or putting them in, because it's very easy to strip them. And it's very easy to strip them taking them out, and it's very easy to strip them putting them in. So I always stick with screwdriver. So the first thing we're going to be doing when we get this motor block open is we will be checking, and again just lift straight up, and there's nothing's going to come flying out at you. There's nothing that's going to come popping out. First thing I'm going to do is lift these two out and toss them over the side. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to lift up our axle, and I'm going to rotate it around, and I'm actually gripping the two sides. I'm trying to rotate them and it's not, and I'm looking on the gear for a crack or a split, and I don't see any, which isn't surprising because over on this one, if we look at this wheel, you'll notice there's not a whole lot of wear. And there's not a whole lot of wear on the traction tire either. So this locomotive, I would suspect, doesn't have a whole lot of run time on it, just because there's not a lot of wear on the wheels. So the next thing I want to do is make sure that the two pickup wires are okay. I have found every once in a while you'll have a wire on a locomotive that's really run a lot, and these wires will wear through and they will wear out, and you'll have to replace them every once in a while. Looking at the metal gear down there, needs a little lubrication, but that's okay. So what we're going to do right now is, obviously this wheel is fine, it's good, and so we will be putting another one over here to match it. And so we'll be getting rid of the traction tire axle, and we'll be putting on a regular axle. Okay, so now we are ready to reinstall. This is a wheel set. The gear was actually split on it when I got it brand new. No, the wheels were really old. What I did was I took the gear off of an axle like this one, and then I put it on one that were already that had an axle that was split, and I'll do the same thing on this one. Later I'll pull this axle and save this gear because this is a good one, and if I have wheel sets that are cracked or split, I'll put the good gear on those. And so, and then I also use the traction tire wheels for weights and other stuff. So now, first of all, we're going to want these little square bearings. These aren't roller bearings. This is just a brass sleeve. And so we're gonna rotate so that it's square, straight up and down, and then it should slide back and forth. Now these wires, pickup wires, will want to lift it up. So I've found that a simple pair of pliers, and I just let the handles rest on the axles, and boom, I'm ready to go. Now I'm going to rotate my cap because it's going to ready to go. I'm going to drop this one in and make sure everything lines up just to be on the safe side. And the gear engages everything, there's nothing spinning. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is lubricate it before we do anything. This is just white lithium grease, and I'm just going to apply just a tiny little bit. That's actually a little bit too much. You don't want too much grease, because too much will get in the way. Now, before we install the motor block back into the side frames, I'll push this over and put a little grease on either end. So we'll set that right there. We'll pop this one out. And I'm just rotating it around. Sometimes I'll take a popsicle stick and spread it around if I'm not having good luck, which today I'm having. Alright, so we got a little bit on there. So now we're going to repeat that, square up the bearing covers. I'm going to slide my plier handles just to hold the wheel down in place. And then we're going to do the same thing on this end. Rotate, make sure everything is squared in, because you don't want these popping out like that. And now I got four holes, so we're going to rest that in place, and you should hear and feel it snap. And there we go. So now this motor block has been checked and does not have any cracked gears, which is good, or split gears. And line up our springs, and I'll screw these down. And no, I am not forgetting to put the sliders in. I don't like the sliders. And by putting a second metal axle over here, a solid metal axle, you really don't need the sliders, because now you're picking up power from here and here. And so the sliders become redundant, and they become a liability in picking up leaves and junk around your track. So I'm going to turn off the video right now, because I doubt you're going to watch me screw, and we'll take a look at the other motor block and see what it has to offer. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do before I go on to the next motor block, I got all the screws checked in. I actually double checked all these, made sure these are nice and tight. I usually do not touch the screws at the end since they were from the factory. I've got my power supply hooked up to the motor block, and these two wires, the two single wires on the outside of your motor block, are the motor. So I've got these hooked up to my benchtop power supply, and so I'm just going to turn it on very slowly. And as you can hear, it's nice and quiet. I'm actually feeling for any any weird vibrations. It's nice and smooth. It wants to take off on me, which is good. And then I'm gonna grab one wheel set, and I'm just gonna squeeze a little bit, provide a little bit of friction. And then same thing over here. Everything is nice, tight. Turn my power off, and I know this motor block is good and set to go. So we will undo it from my power supply. It's set to go. I'll put it over here, and we will do the same over here. Now, through the magic of editing, we'll just jump ahead to that in just a minute. Alright, and through the magic of editing and stopping the camera and doing a little bit of work, here's the other motor block opened up. And again, I'm going to take the sliders off. The sliders are sometimes a good indication of how much wear is on the locomotive, and as you can see, there's not a lot of wear. Not a lot of wear. So we'll just throw those over there. We're going to pull the traction tire axle, and again, I'm twisting it against itself. And I don't feel anything. Now this one's, as you can see, I can twist, and so as I rotate it around, and if I pull, sure enough, and we've got a crack right there, which not surprising. Honestly, probably about half of these that I have taken apart, about 50%, are broken, and that's even factory, yeah. So this is one of those gears where it will just go into the trash because it's split. Now there are people out there that do this. I did this several years ago, and this is just a backup spare. It's a backup, and but it is what it is. So we'll take this one, and this will get thrown away, and we'll put a replacement there. And let's check this one. And in some cases, it's sometimes what I'll do, I'll take a paper towel and wipe, especially at this one where there's a lot of grease, because the grease can actually look like a crack. And sometimes the grease can actually help show a crack, because it'll get down in the crack or in the split and show you. This one, I don't see anything. I'm not getting any twist on it, so this one, pretty good. Alright, so we'll grab an axle and we'll replace it. We'll lubricate everything just like we did before, and the motor blocks are set to go. So alright, welcome back. And as you can see, this is the other motor block, and the axles have been lubricated. I've put the base plate back in, kept the sliders out. So, and I've got my power hooked up. She wants to take off. I'm gonna just put a little bit of resistance, and I'm not getting any slippage, which means my gears are nice and engaged. I'm gonna turn up just, there you go. That's normal sounding, not a lot of vibration. So I know this one's good to go, and boom. So now we've got that finished. So alright guys, just to illustrate a point about how many of these gears are splitting, this is just a few. I've actually probably got about another dozen axles that I have recycled, taken the gears off of, and put them on other wheels and put those wheels. I've even taken some of these wheels, pressed the axle out and stacked them on each other and put a twist tie and used them on weight in my trolley. So as you can see, this is quite a bit of wheels. So if you've got some USA Trains locomotives, it doesn't matter. This one's off of a SD70, and again, it's the traction tire axle that's split. So and as you can see, this is what the wheel looks like with the axle pressed out, and I can stack these on top of each other like this or like this, put 6, 7, 8 of them, and put a little rod through it or a twist tie or whatever. Makes a great weight inside of a locomotive, or in my case I used it as a trolley. So most of these, as you can see, are split, and there is the split right there on that side, and then there's the split over on that side. This was actually brand spanking new. This one just came out of a brand new GP40, and so this was straight from the factory where both sides were split. So, and then over here I've got another tub where I keep replacement axles, because I know they're gonna break. I've even taken some of them, the traction tire axles, a little styrene tube, and pressed them down. I have no idea what I'll use these for, but I was thinking more along for my he's now 10-year-old son, and so these would be some cheap metal wheels for him to play around with on some of his projects. So but yep, so if you've got some of these, you know, when you get bored, definitely, you know, want to take a look at them. So, and I've even got another tub of just brand new gears and the bearings and other parts and axle ends that I've cleaned up, and they're ready to be used for other projects that need new axles. Alright, so that's that. At this point, the locomotive is in the dip. So right now we're just in a holding pattern waiting for the locomotive to strip. It's been about an hour and I could probably tear into it, but I'm just going to go on to something else. So, alright.